Hello, everybody. This is my first technical stock analysis video which I have done. I've been trading in the stock market for the last 14 years, and I have my own portfolio. And I am Karthik, and this video I have done specifically for people who want to understand how we can do predictive technical analysis. So I've chosen a stock today, which is the GW Pharmaceuticals. It's a UK based company which is listed in the Nasdaq. So most of the times, what happens is analysts who do technical analysis, they generally look at the previous trends and what has happened in the past, and they talk about charts and various things that have elapsed basically. What I'm trying to do here today is a forward predictive analysis, which means what happens to this stock starting tomorrow, let's say for the next 1 month, what positions you can take on this stock. This is by no means any form of advice or recommendation. This is purely a technical analysis based on my own understanding. So please don't take it as a trading advice. I'm not a qualified advisor on any stock market sort of investments or taking positions. Do not use this video for taking any positions. This is an educational video only. So what I'm trying to do today, what I'll be showing you today is the stock for GW Pharmaceutical, how this stock can potentially behave in the next few days. This is the part one video. I'm also doing part two and part three, where in part two, I'm going to take some positions myself on this stock to show you how the analysis can assist you in making some money in the stock market. And in the part three, I'm going to do an analysis of after the event has elapsed based on my how the stock behaves in the next 1 month. I'm going to revisit the suggestion or the analysis I would have shown in this video after a month, to suggest where this whether the whatever was whether the analysis came out correctly or not. So let's get into this deep dive exercise today for GW Pharmaceutical. GW Pharma is a US Nasdaq based pack of 12 uh, representative stock. So as you can see here clearly, this stock ended on 126.92. Today's date is 25th when I'm doing this video, as you can see, and the stock markets are closed today on account of US holiday and UK holiday. So the earliest the market will resume is tomorrow. This is 26th. So I'm going to take some position on the stock tomorrow, just on my own predictive analysis, which I'm going to show you shortly what is going to happen with this stock in the next few days. So as you can see this stock, I'm just going to open this full chart so that you can start looking at this. Firstly, this is a company which is a global leader in developing cannabinoid based medicines. So they prepare medicines from cannabis, which is a legal form of medication that they have been allowed to do to treat epilepsy. So this is a stock which, as you can see, guys, it's a stock that has consistently moved. Let me just hold on. I'm just going to clear off some of my charts which I was doing just before this video. I wanted to show you. Okay, so this chart is I've set the chart for the day, 1 day chart. This is a 1 day chart. As you can see, this is a beautiful chart which has got all sorts of movements so far. The stock started somewhere in the month of sort of, historically speaking, somewhere in about 2013, the start moved all the way up to 111, and the started moving to around 57. So and then moved up back all the way to 131, made or retraced to about 36, and then the highest level it reached was around 195, guys. So if you can see here, there's a little pattern here. As you can see, this is 130, around 137, 138, around 139. This is where you have a tremendous amount of resistance for this stock, isn't it? So I'm just going to draw a trend line, sorry, a horizontal line, just to just let's mark that sort of zone just for our analysis. Now, what has happened in the recent times with this stock is that the stock has moved completely in a downward direction from where it started to about 67 mark, and then it has started moving upside. So there is a considerable sharp upswing that is happening in the stock right now. It's in the upward trend. As you can see here, it's in a completely upward trend, and I'm going to show you what this stock can do from here on. Currently it's in a positive territory. It has closed on a positive note. I'm going to tell you what is going to happen to this stock in the next few days. So let's see the last 5 days. The stock has risen from 116 to 120, 122, 124, 125, 126. So it's kind of moved upwards. As you can see, this is a upward chart. So going back to the stock chart, as you can see, let's start putting some sort of a trend line here, so that you know what's a trend line. So I don't have to explain you probably. Yeah, so let's start with the trend line. So with the trend line, what I'm trying to do here is identify a certain pattern or a trend area in the stock which we can start to look at. So the intention will be to touch as many points as possible in the trend line, on the trend line. So I'm just trying to touch about 4 points here and extrapolate this to just here. That should be okay. So I'm also drawing another trend line to show some sort of uh, trend. So this is an upward. So I've touched most of my dots. So it's a trend line. We have drawn a trend line, and we have also drawn a resistance line, which is way on the top here, as you can see. Right. So this is a upward trend. Now I want to show you something very interesting. Not many analysts show you this, but I want to show you something very, very interesting. See, if you can see, there is a high zone, there's a low zone here. From what I understand here is, uh, so here, if you can just sort of, you know, so here is one line to here. Can you see that? This is the stock actually started upswing from here, and it's moved all the way up here. As you can clearly see, there is about 34% gain from this point, and then you can also start say doing the same thing. It's kind of gone from here to about here, and you see a clear about 11% decline in the stock, which I would call as a reversal of the sort of a pullback. It's not exactly a reversal, it's a pullback to this zone. It has taken about 8 bars and a distance of 13.4, which means about 10 days. And there's a 11% sort of a pullback. If you actually put your Fibonacci on this chart, you can clearly see if there is a 50% or retracement that is happening here. As I'm guessing, this is a 50% retracement. So if I like my Fibonacci, if I see this is exactly a 50% retracement. That is almost like if I exactly adjust my points uh, to clearly outline my point, then you have a 50% retracement at this point. It's almost 50%, so not exactly, but it's a 50% retracement. So sorry, it should be somewhat more exact because I should be pointing to this for my Fibonacci. Hold on. So this should be my 50% retracement. As you can see, where is my, let me just put my, okay, so this is a 35% zone and the Fibonacci retracement is here. So where is my Fibonacci chart? Okay, yeah, that's perfect. So you can see 50% as you almost, I would say around 40. So it's almost close to 50%. So this is a 50% retracement zone. The stock has now moved back to this highs. So I'm just going to show you what it is doing here. It's again from this retracement path to about the highs what this stock has reached. So here, can you see that it is about 24%. 24% is what the stock has reached before it started correcting to about this zone. I'm just ignoring this small little candle here because it just could probably cause some confusion. So it's a very small, tiny retracement of around 4%, 5%, 5 point. 4% on this. Again, as you can see, the stock has moved kind of quite nicely upwards. So I'm going to show this rather here, where I will show my correction here in terms of my retracements. I'm going to show this. So this is what I'm looking to show you guys. I'm ignoring this high point. I'm taking this high point because this is more appropriate here, showing around 34% gains, and before correcting around 11%, which you can actually see here. My 35% is close enough to 34% here, which is a somewhat similar sort of gain, and the retracement here is around 11% here, and this is again 11% here. So this is pretty much sort of a very predictive behavior this stock has done. Again, if you put your Fibonacci retracement from here to here, you can clearly see about close to 50%, slightly above the 50% mark, you have a retracement happening here. So further, if I am to show you very interesting things here, now you looked at around the 35% up and 11% swing. Now pullback. So the same thing, if I want to show you here, so I need to start my retracement point from here. But what happened here is, by the time I reach this point, something went wrong, because the stock was actually moving like this. It should be moving to a 35% zone, which you can see is where I'm touching, close to around 34% zone, which is what we have been seeing the trend. But this trend was broken here. Somehow it was broken in this particular territory, where with this red massive red candle came. But it's also showing a high, day high. It's showing a day high, but it has returned back to its sort of original indicator. But something very crazy is happening here, which I will show you what exactly is happening. So if you bring that line to this and see what's happening, at a 25% upswing is being shown on this by this candle. So why this could have happened? So if you look at what is the date on the 11th, so it's 12th, as you can see. If I put the news on the 12th, on the 11th, then the earnings were announced for the stock, and it's a pre-market rally that happened before the stock opened a gap up here. As you can see, the gap up, this was a gap up. The stock opened but started, because this was not in the trend. See, I'm showing you a trend here of 34%. So the stock kind of rallied on the day high, and then retraced it levels back to this particular zone, because it was a day high, temporary day high, because because of the very good earnings that started driving the stock going up, because they did this, they beat the expectation in terms of the sales. So the stock momentarily gained here. But the beauty of technical charts is, guys, so basically this was the original journey, this was the original journey of the stock, but it was kind of, you know, stopped here, as in the trend was broken here. But see the beauty here, what I'm going to show you now. The stock again corrected back around 11%. So this is in line with this trend of, 11% correction. However, it is what it started moving again up. So correction came around 11%. So from this the top, what you're seeing, and also the stock now took a new trend of 24%. What you can see here is another 21%, which is similar to this. So this is now taking a new trend. It's caught up with a new trend, but the new trend is not going to last, because this is, you have to start looking at the previous trend. What was the original area that the stock wanted to cover was around 34%. The beauty is, although it did a small sort of pullback and went back to the same zone. That's the beauty of what I'm trying to explain here. And just to take out this sort of distraction out, let's just take these lines out, so that you kind of start appreciating the technical charts, what's going to happen here. Just want to take these lines off, so that you start focusing on the other aspects. 25%. So now what's happening here is, look at that. Now I'm going to draw a Fibonacci here on this particular. So it is again a 50% correction. As you can see here, this is my 50% line. The stock has bounced from the 50% territory upwards. So although this was the beauty of is within one day, when the stock sort of the sentiments were very very high, positive sentiments, the stock still corrected in a very technical way to move back to its original path. So now look at this point, guys. It's a very interesting point. Now the stock is this has to come down, because it has to retrace another 11 to 50 14% here before it can move up again. So the trend line is suggesting that stock is going to retrace to this levels around 114. Why I'm telling you this is, I'm going to draw a Fibonacci again back from taking the original outlook of this trend. So this position is around slightly above here, I would say, from the historical record of the stock. So I'm just going to show you my sort of trend line, and then it's not a trend line. Let's put a horizontal line here, just to show you what is going to happen here with this stock. But don't forget, guys, this had actually taken a small deviation here, and we cannot ignore this movement. So what I'm now doing is, I'm also taking a small Fibonacci here, just to make sure we are not losing on any sort of a range. So here 117 is a kind of a range for this. So let me put a line here, that is 117. So I would say probably around 116 territory, 115 territory is what it is gonna sort of test at this point in time. Also, look at this particular area where I can show you there is a weakness here, as you can clearly see from the indicators. If I am trying to put, let's say, let me put some sort of indicator. Let's say I put an oscillator here. You can see that there is a clear uh, stock RSI is indicating a sell, as well as your RSI is indicating a very overbought sort of a territory here. 77 is a big overbought sort of. It needs to come down somewhere here, based on sort of somewhere here is your buy zone again. So it's a short opportunity here. It's a shorting opportunity. Now coming to this CCI, even CCI is suggesting a sell. So it's a very clear sell indicator that the stock is getting now. So now coming to what's happening here, I shouldn't have taken off the everything that I just did, but it's okay. I will try and take the template out as well. So let's have a very clear sort of visual chart back again. So now guys, it's a very clear indicator that this chart, this is going to come down. This price is going to come down from here on, and about 114 it's going to go back up. So now your question may be, how much this stock is going to come down, and what is the good level to buy, and where it can go from here on. So I can clearly tell you that in a minute. So if you start looking at the trend, so my initial trend was this. This was my area. So it's around 7 bars and around 34% retracement, around 7 bars and 9 days. So I'm just going to see if you can. Beauty is, if you see this is exactly what happened here and here and here. So I'm just going to take that and try and work out time, a suitable time for this stock to sort of show us some sort of a time zone. So around 30%, 34%, around 15 bars. Okay, 15 bars. So what I'm saying here is about around 11%. If we just see this, um, what I'm just saying here is, if you look at my from here to this zone, from here it is, the stock has actually corrected by around 11%, which is 6 bar. So 6 bar and 8 days. So let me take the same thing, 11%, 6 bar, 8 days. Retracement cycle from here, 11 bars, around 11%, uh, around 11%, which actually coincides with our 113, which I just explained you, 113. So let's keep it around 11%, around 6 bars. So shall we say 6 bars, around 11 days. So around 10 days. So shall we say that around maybe 5 bars, this one. So I'm thinking this stock by around the end of this month, which is around 28th, 29th of this month, or maybe by the 1st of June, would have done its complete retracement. And the retracement point I'm just going to mark here would be this, close to around this territory, in at around this region. So I'm gonna look at another 34%, but it's unlikely that the stock will touch that 34%, because the stock has picked up a new trend being stock moving from this zone to about this zone, which is about 25%. Okay, so let's take a 25%, around 7 bars, from this 1st of June to 1st of June is here. So let's take that around, so 24, 25%. Let's mark it sort of, let's not be too ambitious with this, around 8 days. So around 10th of June, I would suggest we look at that. And I will set a horizontal line here just to give you a clear indicator of what's going to happen here. So now what I'm saying here is around the 10th or whatever that date is. So let's again, I forgot what I was the date here. So the from the 1st June, let's say, let's take that for 1st, 2nd of June, 1st June, let's say 1st June to about 24, 20, shall we say around 21%, 22%, around 22% is 7 bars, around 9 days, around 10th June. I'm suspecting by around 10th June, we should have a 22% upside on the stock before the stock can actually move down. So if you look at this graph, this horizontal line, let's see what that actually means to this stock. So if you look at this stock here, and let's go down and check what's happening. Look, this is a very interesting line. See, the line earlier also had a lot of resistance. This is the resistance line in the original graph. So it's a perfect analysis or a perfect technical indicator to say around this region of 143, which is our 24% gain territory, you will see another retracement of the stock. Okay, so what I'm going to do on Tuesday, which is tomorrow, is that I'm going to go short on this stock. I'm going to do a short. I'm going to short this stock and wait till around 115, and then I will go long on this stock till about 140, 142 region, and then I'm going to short this stock again, and we will see what levels it will trace back to. Now, if I do a small sort of a reverse sort of a Fibonacci on this, if you see here, a Fibonacci sort of a extension, if I draw an extension, so my assumption is that this is going to correct from here to about this zone. So what I'm going to do here is a Fibonacci sort of a correction extension. So I'm just taking this point just to give an idea. Sorry, I should take this point for a Fibonacci sort of a reversal from this point to this point, and let's say this point. Now, what am I going to see here is something very interesting. I'm just looking at about 140, sort of 147 levels for my probably a bounce back, but this is not the exact way to do it. But the more accurate way is marking this here, and retracement is somewhat here, sort of, if this is going to be more realistic for this stock considering what it's been doing. So around 160, so this should be our 150 zone. Is this stock is definitely going to touch this 150 zone. As you can clearly see, 1.138 is on our horizontal line. This is beautiful. This graph is amazing. Look what's happening. If I'm adjusting this, this is actually falling in line with the original horizontal line which we drew. And if you look at that, it is going to go into our resistance lines here. So it is a beautiful merger of what I'm trying to predict and what we're trying to analyze here. So it's also in line. Can you see this is a predictive line? As you can see, this is not happened yet. This hasn't happened yet. But if you put a trend line here, this is going to show you very beautiful sort of what's going to happen with this stock. It's going to really sort of sort of engage with your trend line beautifully. Look at that. That's a beautiful trend line. So guys, I'm gonna do the next video by actually shorting this stock at this potentially at this price. But another thing, what you may ask, what's the best shorting point? What point do I short this stock on? As you can see, I'm going to get rid of all of this, so it makes it all very clear. So if you look at that, Uh, so this point is what I'm saying is to short the stock on, but let's look at what's historically what has happened with this stock. 124.91, sorry, 126.92 has been the closing price for the stock, but don't forget there is a day high of 128.93. Now something, this why this day high happened, there should have been reason for that technically to explain it. This is not just a random thing that would have happened during the day. The stock tried to jump up and hit this up, sort of upside resistance, and then came down to this price and closed. Why do you think this could have happened? So there should be a reason. So if you go back in the chart, probably around February zone, where this stock started going downhill, you can see that 128.56 was its closure price, and 158 28.57 was its day high. So which means this was the recording tool got disconnected, so I had to start recording again. So what I was explaining is what point to select for shorting this stock. So as you can see, the close was 126.92, but it has done a day's high of 128.93. If you look at February sort of highs, this was the highest point that the stock had done. Sorry, here the 128.57. Now you can clearly see that this was broken by stock trying to go higher in intraday on the 22nd, which is the last trading day, which is the 40 cents higher, which clearly says a lot of things about this stock, that the stock is trying to move in an upward trend. It is clearly in an upward trend. It has broken that old sort of high, and it's kind of leaping over that. But what we shouldn't forget is the fact that it will not continue until there's a retracement, and the retracement, it could probably happen anywhere between this price and tomorrow's day high, whatever that is. We don't know. It could be between this and this, or maybe $1 or $2 more than this day's high price what it achieved. So regardless of what happens, I think what we should be looking at is a closure below this before we can. So if you're a high risk taker, you can short it on the day's high. But if you are a low risk taker, you wait for a day to close below this. So, for example, it could potentially close around this on the 26th, which is tomorrow on the 26th. So it might close around 124 region. So it's a good place to short the stock maybe. So, so there is no 100% guarantee that there will be a price above this tomorrow, but you cannot say that. So that's about it. To be honest, guys, I wanted to simplify the chart reading for you. Make sure you make money on your trades by looking at the chart and understanding how the chart patterns are. So in this potential stock trade I explained you, so you are here and you potentially have 11% to make here, and then you have another sort of another what I can say, another 20 odd percent to make here, 20. So in total you are making around 11 plus, let's say, 24 in at a very reasonable level, around 34% on this stock before you can decide to short it again. So first you need to take a short and then a long. So that is what I'm going to do tomorrow on this stock, and we see how it goes. So you don't have to be worried if this goes slightly $1 or $2 here, or maybe even $3 before it starts to sort of retrace. It is absolutely fine. So that's the point to short, guys. So until we see again, take it easy and have a good day. Do not take it as an advice or a guidance. This technical reading can completely go wrong and in certain macroeconomic factors. So
So take it with a caution, and make sure you do your own research. Okay, thank you. Bye.